Appreciate you for joining in today. Let's talk about some of the characteristics or traits that plague every narcissist in this world. The first one is the fear of being alone. The fear of being alone. Every narcissist fears being alone because a narcissist remains stuck in a perpetual state of hypervigilance. This is because of their need to be in control and their inability to self-introspect. As a result of this, they find validation in masses. Their sources of strength and supply are external. They do not have an internal locus of reference. They interpret the world based on the reactions of people around them. Whenever they are alone, they are faced to inevitably look at themselves, face themselves in the mirror, and standing before them is a hideous sight. They are faced with their own ugliness, their own inadequacies, their own pride, and this is just too much to take even for a narcissist. This is the reason narcissists fear being alone. You will always see narcissists with people because they do not have their own self-agency and they cannot demonstrate independence. They might try to create the impression that they are, but deep down they are very fickle. It's just a house of cards that with one pull of a card brings their whole structure down. They fear remaining alone for this reason. They cannot be able to look themselves in the mirror and be proud of themselves. They know that they are not what they are portraying to people. And they know that they are not beautiful, they are not awesome, they are not flawless. They know that they are pretenders. It's too much for them to take. There's no one to impress, there's no one to manipulate, there's no one to dominate around them. This is a problem because they thrive on control. And when you're alone, there's nothing to control, especially because they cannot control even themselves. That's one major trait that plagues every narcissist, whether covert or overt, whether malignant or vulnerable. All narcissists fear being alone, whether they're the life of the party in the masses or whether they're just finding comfort draining energy in crowds. They have to have people around them, otherwise they do not function properly. Secondly, narcissists are perfectionists. Narcissists are perfectionists. Let me just start this by saying there's a difference between striving for excellence and perfectionism. Those two are not synonymous. The way to know is by the reaction that follows once that standard is not attained. For example, if a narcissistic parent is projecting their perfectionism onto their child, they'll expect the best performance in school. When it comes to academics, they'll expect them to be elite athletes. If they are sportsmen, they'll expect them to be the singular talents if they are artistic or creatives. And it's not really for the benefit of the child. It's because on how it reflects on the narcissistic parent themselves. Now, they might look or appear to be the same as striving for excellence, because remember, we are not proponents of mediocrity ourselves. Not by any means. No, we actually push for the best. We are always aiming for the sun. The difference is this: we know that in aiming for the sun, we might fall on the moon. And we are okay with it because we are aware that this is not heaven. Not everything just goes as planned. And that's not even to say that you will stop aiming for the sun because you got to the moon. But you see, with a narcissist, when they don't get the sun, when they do not achieve that sun they've aimed for, they crumble. They experience a meltdown. Because you see, their validation comes from the impression of having achieved that thing that they are aiming for. Therefore, that thing not being attained is like them being lost, is like them losing their humanity, is like them dying. The point I'm making is that you know it by the reaction, the difference between perfectionism and excellence. Another way to tell that difference is that, going back to the example with the narcissistic parent and the child, a healthy parent would be empathetic in their approach. Say if the child failed in their exams. They would approach them, oh, my son, my daughter, you're underperforming. This is not characteristic to you. They understand that the child is growing up, the child is living in an imperfect world, the child is living in an imperfect body and in an imperfect environment, and that these things could contribute to, or are definitely contributing to, either his success or his failures. And an empathetic approach is an approach that places yourself in the shoes of the other party. You see the world from their worldview, not from yours. A healthy parent will be able to relate with the child and hear them out and see that, so this is the position of the child right now. They're just a kid. They're just confused. They're just discovering themselves. Maybe they were bullied. Maybe they were what? It doesn't matter. Whatever the circumstance. And then with patience and love and gentleness and kindness, bring them slowly back to a point of restoration. Not so with the narcissistic parent. The narcissistic parent demands and requires perfection. It's all about the performance. I don't care what you're going through. Man up, it's life. I need my grades, otherwise we are not friends. I'll not talk to you for the whole term if you're not number one. If you don't bring home straight A's, I don't care about you no more. Expect no favors from me. Of course, I'm impersonating the evil narcissistic parent. I'm trying to belabor that point to show that difference, because it's an important difference, that while we are not pushing for mediocrity, we are not settling for less than. There's a difference between the pursuit of excellence and a requirement of perfectionism. You also see this perfectionism in things like their houses, their rooms. I'm sure you know of someone who is incredibly clean, incredibly tidy, that it's scary. I don't know whether you know that relative, that auntie, that cousin who, man, if you just visit them, you're like, what? You are walking on eggshells around the house. Everything is just sparkling always. And of course, again, this is not to say that we are untidy, that we are not clean. No, cleanliness is next to godliness. But remember, you're able to tell this difference by what's associated with that cleanliness, so to speak. The reaction that comes when that cleanliness is not kept, or that tidiness is not kept to that standard of perfection, and also what it means for the party involved. Do they stake their whole humanity on it? That's how you know someone who is simply clean and someone who is just narcissistic. Because a narcissist thrives on order. You see, this kind of tidiness is it's a pedantic, sort of a pedantic in inverse of the need for order in order to control. Where there is order, it's easier to control, it's easier to manipulate. And so if all these books are lined up in a straight manner, just that one book that is out of alignment is easier to spot, it's easier to control, it's easier to place back in line. You get me? This is why they thrive on order, and that goes for everything. That goes for everything. A perfectionistic spirit is a common trait with all narcissists. Thirdly, all narcissists are actors. They are hypocrites. Did you know the word hypocrite actually is Greek for an actor? All hypocrites are actors. They are all things to all men. The scripture says, be all things to all men, right? When you go to the Romans, be as the Romans are. As when you go to the Greeks, be as the Greeks are, in order that you might win some, the scripture says. Not so with the narcissist, though. They are all things to all men in order to advance the self in the world. They are pretenders. They are what they need to be in every situation in order to advance. It's all about them. That's how you tell it apart. You see, this is very important for you to listen to this video, because the spirit of narcissism is the spirit of an imposter. It's an imitating spirit. Do you get me? The way scripture says, even the devil as an angel of darkness disguises himself as an angel of light, and he confuses people that he is a heavenly being, but yet he is a hellish creature. It's the same thing. The spirit of narcissism is a spirit that imitates. It comes and it looks like that thing in order to deceive, in order to advance self, and usually at the detriment of others, or without caring what happens to others, as long as it progresses itself. If it's in a church, they'll be the most religious people. Then they'll leave the church and go to the club. They'll be the worst heathen. They are in whatever situations what they need to be in order to advance themselves. And they are not adapting like scripture says to adapt. For a narcissist, they are splitting. They are different personalities. The way you know him is not the way I know him. That's how you tell the difference between the imitating spirit and the true spirit. The true spirit adapts, is malleable. The wicked spirit splits and it becomes a totally different creature. Allow me with respect to use the analogy of the dissociative personality disorder, right? This is called the split personality disorder. And some studies have actually gone as far as proving just how genuine the split personalities are, that in the same body, in the same person, when they are split, they demonstrate even different IQs. I want you to think about that. We are dealing with totally different entities. It's spiritual, my friends, it's spiritual. Because if someone were just pretending, they'd not be able to pretend to the level of an IQ or to the level of a talent. You get me? Someone is one person in one body is right-handed. When he splits, he is left-handed. In one person, he has an IQ of 100. When he splits, he has an IQ of 140. Then he splits, he has an IQ of 90. These are entities that drive the narcissistic spirit. They split. The way you know him is not the way I know him. Their behavior is totally different. They are actors. They are hypocrites. All narcissists are hypocrites. Another thing is that all narcissists are humanists. By humanist, someone who views man as the chief end of life. A prominent humanist narcissist in this day and age, who some of you would disagree, but I stand by my word, is the man himself, the great phenomenon, Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate has taken over the world because he's come to fill a gap like all narcissists are very adept at doing, because they notice everything for their need for self-advancement and control. They notice everything. And so he comes and he will make statements that are very crude, very self-serving. On numerous occasions, I've heard him saying something like, "What is truth? Who knows the truth?" And in his own subjective reality, he has come to the conclusion that truth is that which advances him in life, that which makes him great, that which makes him better than the rest, which makes him wealthy, which makes him whatever he has created in his mind that he should be. That is what the truth is to Andrew Tate. He's a humanist. He's a narcissist, because it doesn't matter who he takes advantage of. He comes off as a very helpful, of course, it's an imitating spirit. He's a bad actor, though. It's an imitating spirit. Narcissism is always an imitating spirit. You might think he's helping people, he's inspiring people, but at the end, like every narcissist you deal with, they come after breadcrumbing you to shut the doors just when you arrive at the doorstep. Let me give you an example. A few years back, Tate was asked about Bitcoin. What were his views on Bitcoin? His views were very harsh, very stiff. He said Bitcoin is the worst because it's like something, I won't quote him verbatim, but he said something like Bitcoin is the maximal way to make money while doing nothing. And that's why he finds it despicable. And then fast forward a couple of years, now he has opened his own online school. I don't know even what it's called. I'm not interested. But in his own online school, it's about he has his own Bitcoin. It's all about Bitcoin. And he is fleecing the flock, so to speak. You join in, I don't know, you pay £50 and everything. and all of you are paying, and it's going to the man on top. He's fleecing the flock. He's switching. He's a chameleon. He's becoming what he needs to become in whatever situation to advance himself. The end justifies the means in Tate's world. It doesn't matter whatever the means was. Whether I will take advantage of you, take advantage of your desperation, whether I'll lie to you, whether I'll deceive you. If that makes me God in my life, that is the truth. All narcissists have a very subjective worldview. They inevitably become humanists. It does not even matter if they use religion. They will use that religion to push their humanism. They will go to church to serve themselves. There are very many narcissists who are very religious because religion presents order, and order can be manipulated. Order can be used as an instrument to convince others. Yet, at the end of the day, it is very self-serving. And you know it, as usual, from what happens if they don't get what they want. Lastly for today, narcissists become worse as they grow older. They become worse as they grow older. At the end of the day, the deeds that you've committed in this life will catch up to you. The way you've lived your life will follow you. You cannot escape from yourself. You might run away from me or him, but you cannot run away from yourself, and you cannot run away from karma. It's coming your way. And this is the thing. They become worse as they grow older because age has a way of sifting out people from your life. In this way for the narcissist, firstly, because he's been hurting everyone around him, no one wants to be with them anymore. And so time and age inevitably separates him from people. He loses his supply. The things he was trying to run away from, like the fear of being alone and all these things, become an impossibility. The demons now have all the time in the world to deal with him because they are alone with him in the house. They are not as attractive as they used to be. They are not as strong as they used to be. Because you know the saying, the common saying in slang, nobody beats Father Time. As you grow older, you discover, as we all are discovering, that age has a way of humbling you. What you felt when you were in your early 20s, because you used to feel invincible, and you were quite invincible to some point. But the thing is, the way you were feeling at that time, you never thought there was a day that could ever come that you would slow down. You see it with footballers and athletes. When they get to their mid-30s, they can't perform like they used to in their mid-20s. And you see what happens to them, especially if they are narcissistic. It's like their whole world crumbles. This is common with every narcissist. You're no longer winning the Ballon d'Ors. You're no longer winning the accolades. You're no longer on the news. There's no supply. And so as you grow older, you become more bitter. As you face yourself in the mirror, you become more bitter. Because you made a pact with Satan, the demons attack you even worse. Because you are now even in a state of solitude. We can go on and on. But these are the points that we've made today. You need to look out for this when you're trying to describe a narcissist in your life. First, they have a fear of being alone. Secondly, they are perfectionists. Thirdly, they are all hypocrites. Fourthly, they are humanists. And fifth, Father Time humbles them all. Age makes them worse. Remember to hit the subscribe button. And do not worry. Karma is coming his way. Karma is coming her way. However they have conducted themselves in this life, they will surely pay for it. Have a good one.